This is the story of the Caldwell D-13, an open-wheel race car developed nearly half a century ago, which is still in use at racetracks around the country. The D-13 has been a staple of Formula Vee racing since the early 70s. The regulations for the series have stayed remarkably consistent since its inception, so the D-13 has lived on and continues to be a great option for drivers that are looking to pick up an affordable open-wheel race car and get out on track. But to understand the story of the Caldwell D-13, you first need to understand Ray Caldwell, the founder of Autodynamics, the company which created the D-13. Ray Caldwell, like myself and many others watching this video, had a passion for racing and dreams of pushing cars to their limit on the track since childhood. Ray decided to have his go at the racing dream when the SCCA officially announced their new series Formula Vee in 1964. The series, an open-wheel car based on stock parts from a pre-1963 Volkswagen Beetle and utilizing a purpose-built tube frame and racing tires, promised close racing at an affordable cost. With that in mind, Ray got to work in half of his two-car garage in Marblehead, Massachusetts, and built his first ever Formula Vee car, the Mark I. While sticking within the strict guidelines of Formula Vee, Ray made some slight improvements to the handling of the car and ran a competitive first season, earning him the SCCA Rookie of the Year award. With his newfound success in racing, Ray founded Autodynamics Corporation and began building race cars for other enthusiasts in the US. Around this time, Ray partnered with an up-and-coming driver he met at an SCCA driver's school named Sam Posey. Posey would later go on to be a two-time Formula One Grand Prix driver and multiple-time top 10 finisher at Le Mans, but that's a story for another video. Caldwell and Posey would continue to race and develop Formula Vee cars together over the next few years, with progressive improvements on the original Mark I design which Caldwell had first built in his garage. One notable story from this time includes a race at the Oaks Field course in the Bahamas, where Caldwell beat out Bruce McLaren, founder of McLaren Automotive and Formula One driver, by half a car length, driving an Autodynamics Mark II, only to later be disqualified for using non-VW valve spring shims. On the business side, Caldwell built a team of highly skilled and driven people from across motorsports to help him continue developing state-of-the-art race cars in the various series they entered. They would continue developing the original series of Formula Vee cars until 1969 with the creation of the Mark V. In the late 60s, they shifted focus onto other projects, while continuing the production of their iconic Formula Vees. This included a Formula Ford program which brought Skip Barber the 1969 SCCA Runoffs title, starting from 20th and storming through the field in his Caldwell D-9 to bring home the checkered flag. This hard work paid off, and in 1970, Dodge awarded Caldwell the contract to run its factory-backed Challenger in the popular Trans Am series. This represented the peak of Autodynamics as a race car manufacturing company. Having ran programs in Formula Vee, Formula Ford, Formula Super Vee, Can-Am, and now Trans Am, Autodynamics was the largest race car manufacturer in the country. Unfortunately, this chapter would be brought to an abrupt end with the collapse of the pony car market at the end of 1970. Dodge pulled out of Trans Am, along with all the other major pony car manufacturers, leaving Caldwell in an extremely tenuous financial situation and forcing Ray Caldwell to file bankruptcy and reorganize the business under Chapter 11. Between 1964 and 1970, Autodynamics sold 1,179 of the original series of Formula Vee cars, from Mark I to Mark V. Under the reorganization of Autodynamics, Ray Caldwell would begin focusing the majority of his attention on another project outside of racing and far ahead of its time: sustainable electric transportation. He bought the prototype for a consumer electric car, which he claimed would allow drivers to reach 60 miles per hour and boasted a 100-mile range in 1970. He saw the electric car as a way to bring in income for the company so that he could continue to fund his racing passions. It was also around this time when Ray and his team at Autodynamics developed their new race car, and the last one developed by the company, the D-13. This early concept sketch by Bill Woodhead, a member of the Autodynamics team, shows how Caldwell worked to ensure his cars had the most up-to-date technology to stay competitive in the tightly restricted Formula Vee field. One of the things I find extremely interesting is this note here in the back, which says, "This is your zero-roll stiffness rear suspension, which will someday be on all FVs." This prediction would turn out to be correct, and nowadays almost all Formula Vs, and definitely every competitive Formula V, have some form of zero-roll rear suspension. The suspension was designed with the aid of computer programs at MIT facilities to eliminate the inherent oversteer characteristics of the high roll center found in your average Formula V at the time. It also allowed for adjustability to control rear-end jacking, a common handling issue with the car. Caldwell also spent time in an MIT wind tunnel with 1/10 scale models to develop the car with as little aerodynamic drag as possible and to reduce the downstream turbulence, making it difficult to draft. In 1973, a kit could be bought from the Autodynamics catalog for $1,700 or for $4,000 as a complete car. In 2021 dollars, this equates to around $10,000 for the kit and $25,000 for the full car. The D-13 would go on to make an appearance at every SCCA runoffs between 1972 and 1991, making 5 more runoffs appearances in the years since. Its best ever appearance was its first year, when Dave Witzenhoff drove his number 67 Caldwell D-13 from 5th to victory, bringing home the National Formula Vee title that year. A D-13 made it to the podium at the runoffs 2 more times, once in 1978, driven by Jonathan Weishaupt, and twice in 1982 and 1983 by Scott Rubinser. In '83, Rubinser just barely missed out on first by less than 0.2 of a second to George Fitzell in his Zinc Z12. Additionally, a D-13 made pole position at the runoffs twice, first in 1980, driven by Ron Feeney. However, he had to retire the car after lap 12, and then again in 1988, driven by Bob Neumeister, but he only made it 1 lap further, retiring on lap 13. Since the heyday of the D-13 in the late 70s and early 80s, other chassis have come along, and small advancements in technology have meant that the D-13 no longer runs at the front of the pack at the SCCA runoffs. Despite this, they can still be found racing and winning at vintage races and regional SCCA events to this day. The fact that a race car developed almost 50 years ago is still being competitively raced and is widely recognized among the Formula Vee community is a testament to the mark Ray Caldwell and the Autodynamics Corporation made on Formula Vee and the amateur racing community in the United States as a whole. I'm proud to say that I now own a Caldwell D-13 and will join the ranks of thousands of drivers in the United States who started their racing careers in an Autodynamics Formula Vee. I want to thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. I hope you all enjoyed learning about the history of Autodynamics and the D-13 as much as I enjoyed researching it. If you want me to make similar videos about the history of different aspects of Formula Vee, please let me know in the comments below, as I really enjoyed this and I feel like I could cover many other topics. Thank you very much again for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.